All right. Yeah, there we are. We're actually now live, gentlemen. All right. Well, first of all, let me welcome everybody to another episode here of the ECBRO Discovery News Blogcast. It's actually been quite a while since we've done a Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Cool to do this for a change. If you guys give me a second, I'm gonna go to open up my phone here so I can watch the live chat. Let's see. All right. Uh-oh, we got viewers jumping on. That's good. For those viewing, well, I'm gonna wait. I'll wait till more jump on. That way, everybody gets it all together here. All right. Okay. I got the live chat opened up. All right, we got Linda on the live chat right now, starting off. How you doing, Linda? Great to have you. Well, for those that are just jumping on, we would love your interaction, regardless of if you have anything to share or questions for anybody. If you are on your phone, the live chat is directly below where you're watching. Just scroll straight down. The live chat will be right there. If you're on your laptop or a desktop, the live chat will be found on your top right-hand corner from your viewing screen. But meanwhile, I'll be watching the live chat. And I want to go over a few things. I don't know if Sam's going to jump on. Sam was supposed to join us tonight. I don't know if he'll be able to make it or not. Let's see. I don't even know where to start. Well, I'm going to cover this towards the end. I had some plugins I wanted to go over, and just a few things I wanted to do a shout out on. Most of that I'm going to cover towards the end, but I do want to give a big special a big thank you to a couple of the ECBRO sponsors for the ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. Big Truth Productions. We are proud to have them. For those who don't know, Big Truth Productions is one of the ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference sponsors. Dan Lindum and Ed Brown. Also, the Big Truth Productions, they do have a YouTube channel, Big Truth. Along with Ed Brown, he has his own radio show, Sit Down with Ed Brown. So if you're not subscribed to them, go check them out and tell them Daniel Benoit sent you. Also, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. She's the host of and the director of Secret to Knowing Everything, or Secret to Everything, excuse me. She does have her own radio network, and she is on YouTube as well. So she is another sponsor, and we're proud to have her on our side as far as sponsoring our event for next year. And if you're not familiar with our event for next year, you can find our information on our Facebook page, the ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. If you go to your Facebook menu, you can find all that information. And then like I said, for now on, that's pretty much all I want to keep it at right now. I don't want to get too, let's see. Yeah, I want to keep it short and sweet right now. I'll do the plugins towards the end of this. I'm not sure how long we'll go on tonight. Like I said, it's been a while since we've done one of these. If Sam might jump on here, because I know he had some information he wanted to throw in there and plug in with what he's got going on, what he's got coming up. Okay, Willie Booger is saying on the live chat, you have missed out on my encounter stories. I have another channel. Okay, cool. All right. I haven't been getting on YouTube like that, so I don't know where his encounter stories were going around at. Let's see. Well, anyway, I know you guys are probably engaged in a conversation while I was away, right? But Baltimore, now you had messaged me the other day, I believe it was a couple days ago, and you had messaged talking about some activity down your way. I was wondering if you could fill us in on that.
Well, we actually heard it a couple of weeks ago, and he's basically back on time. And then he normally comes in the first week of October. and apparently he comes in when deer season. Every time when people start killing their deer and stuff, they normally throw deer straps over the bridge. So that's when he normally comes in. So and the big guy's just right on time. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm kind of excited about that.
Just curious, with that going on, what's the temperatures like then your way?
We just had a front come in, maybe in the like 68, and then but it jumped down to 80, 90.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
right, but like in the Normanna area, it's like maybe like around 5 degrees difference between 5 and 7 degrees difference from Beeville because that's actually the lowest part of B County. So it's always real cool down there. And then when you have dampness of the falling leaves and damp leaves and everything like that, it basically keeps the creek beds a lot cooler.
Okay, yeah. Part of the reason I asked that, because I'm thinking, 'cause, it's just that time of year. Yeah, there's hunting going around. Hunting season, bow season started up in most of the country. I get, or I don't know. That's since I know it started here. Well, because I talk to other local hunters quite often, and I know a lot of them. We've been having a lot of warm temperatures up here. I mean, very warm temperatures. Finally, yeah, I think the same thing happened with us. We got that front. I know today, this morning was a little chillier. A little chilly, and when I walked out of work this evening, it was nice. I mean, the temperature said 70, and but it was nice light coolness in the air, which I loved it. I'm sure in the mountainous areas it's a lot cooler, but uh, I hope the colder weather comes in, especially for the sake of deer hunting, and because it would be a lot of hunters don't like going out hunting when it's warm like that due to the bacteria and whatnot. But um, yeah, because also the activity, Bigfoot activity, is the other main reason I was actually asking about the temperatures. Because I know it's this time of year usually when things start cooling down, and I know a lot of people. I think a lot of us agreed on it's the early to mid fall to early to mid spring where a lot of activity seems to be brewing, where you get a lot of reports, and actually it's funny because I've gotten a brief a report from of a hunter um, that happened on a real good friend of mine's uh, grandfather's property. And so, I'm sure you guys probably seen the posts I've had about that floating around. And I've tried to I picked up a little bit more information on that. So we're going to be looking into that, doing some boots on the ground investigation on that. So hopefully all that goes well. Um, yeah, you know, yeah. As far as that, there, have you heard anything else? Besides what you had going on, have you heard anything else in your area, Baltimore?
Uh, well, I actually had a Bigfoot meeting last weekend, I believe it was, and I had a scientist that actually came in from San Antonio.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
this man had so many Bigfoot tracks, babies, and even had a handprint of a Bigfoot that had actually put his fingers inside a molehill, and they actually got a plaster, and they actually pulled out 2 or 3 fingers of from the plaster, and these things were magnificent. Fingernails were just like
Wow.
ours, and people would say that they have long claws and stuff. But on these, but on this plaster, it actually had fingernails just like ours, exactly the way that they were shaped. It was totally magnificent.
Hmm.
And he actually had Bigfoot tracks where actually had those little ridges like we have underneath our feet. They even had
Oh yeah.
yeah, and that actually came out in the plaster. And
That
you could be nobody can actually take their time and draw that. Stuff like that comes naturally.
yeah. That's good stuff though, right there. Yeah, you get dermal ridges on any track print or whatever it may be. That's awesome right there because
Right.
that's that's something that's considerable evidence, or considered credible and considerable, where it's sounds pretty legit to me.
Yeah, no,
um,
he had vocalizations, stuff that he recorded. He has been doing this for I don't know how many years. This man was just totally so impressive, and as a I consider myself a student, and I try to learn, learn from you all, the certain things, and there's some stuff that I learned from myself, and but there's sometimes the best way to learn is just sit back and just watch and listen.
Absolutely.
And this guy was totally, and I just, even though it was he was a guest, you know, come up here and just teach us something, because once we got started, once we got started in this group, I just wanted to record stories and stuff that just went on. Uh, and then, but this guy had like a gold mine when it comes to Bigfoot proof that this animal did exist. So it just
Hmm.
fascinating.
That's pretty cool. I wanted to ask the panel, Waldemar, and then jump to Zach and get his opinion on this. Um, this has come from Linda. She's asking, do Bigfoot have a mating season? And she goes on to say, I know it's a silly question to some, but just curious.
Um, I want to. I don't think so. I don't think so. Um, I mean, the stuff that I learned this weekend, that I actually learned this weekend, it's Bigfoot is more human than because I called him the animal before, and I want to stop calling him the animal because it's not an animal. It's basically
Right.
more like human. And but the thing is, again, if I have to think of a mating season, it would be just like uh, just like us. So
Yeah.
because
Okay.
in the wintertime, animals mate, deers mate. A lot of the owls, for example, a lot of stuff mates in the winter. But I believe that Bigfoot mates, as soon as a baby is born, the female might be get pregnant right away. So
Right.
so uh, so
That makes
that's
sense.
yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Very cool. What about you, Zach? What do you think about that one?
I honestly think they breed year round, and they usually have like a sense of the seasons and everything because you don't want to breed and oh because I believe that like a Bigfoot would carry a an offspring like a human female would for a full 8 9 months, full 40-week term, and I honestly think that unless they have a certain time of the year, they would go in closures like in abandoned barns and stuff because like with I got with my cattle, they go and don't breed during the winter time. They don't breed about 8 months leading up to whenever first snow falls because of the likelihood of losing the offspring. So honestly,
Hmm.
think they do breed year round, but they have like
Yeah.
a it's for the seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Without all that being said, I mean, I'm definitely gonna agree with both of you guys because I have my opinion's a little different, but yet it's pretty much similar to what you guys are saying. Because I mean, and this goes for anybody as far as whatever the difference of opinion is, of what they think Bigfoot is, regardless if it's either human or more on the non-human primate side. If you compare the two in their mating rituals, of course, as humans, they mate whenever, and of course, they have that time period where they go through their pregnancy until birth is not till the birth arrives. Um, with some primates, non-human primates, is actually almost similar. Um, some of them do mate. Well, the thing is, in the primate world, it's kind of funny because you kind of get a little off track. One male, primate, they have several, several other females in the group where so there's always a lot of offspring. So because they mate similar to what we do. but their thing is their rituals are they have multiple partners, which is kind of crazy. I'm sure in the human world it's very similar, which in some cases, I guess depends on your religion. but yeah, again, I agree with both of you guys on that. So, oh yeah. Okay, this is kind of following that question. Here's another one, also by Linda. Well, she says, I wonder how many are born in multiple births. I think before you guys throw out that with what you were saying to Baltimore, both of you guys were saying, if we're considering them, to entertain the thought of if they are human, regardless, human or non-human. I think it's safe to say that if they do have multiple births in one, basically, I think correctly, I think she's referring to like twins or triplets, which is a rare. So I mean, I would assume if they do have a multiple birth, it's no more than two. I mean, but that this is just assuming. This is just an opinion. These are facts that we don't know. But again, there's different ways we could look at this if we are comparing them to both human or non-human. I don't know. How would you look at that, Baltimore? Pretty much the same way.
I look at it the same way. If I'm still looking a little bit towards human-wise, because a lady can have a single or twins, or very rarely triplets. But everything depends upon the female, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, if she's poor, she'll probably produce one. But everything depends upon what she eats and basically how strong the female is.
What about you, Zach? You have anything to throw in on that one?
Repeat the question.
Oh yeah, Linda was asking. I wonder how many are born in multiple births.
You talking about like from one, or you talking about a whole harem?
Well, from what I understand, I mean, this is the way I'm taking it. Like for a human to give birth to a child, or do they have like some animals like rabbits, cats, dogs? Sometimes they have a litter. But then again, I think that's what she's getting at. In other words, but like us, like humans, we give birth to usually mainly one single child. Some rarely to a twins. So I think that's what she's getting at.
Well, I wouldn't rule out twins, maybe triplets.
Right.
Quintuplets is kind of pushing it, but I mean that's as high as I'd possibly go as a logical answer because of you very rarely even hear of a human female carrying quintuplets. And though I do, like I said, I think they all breed like once every 18 months. From an educated guess, I would guess you could call it, that they breed once every 18 months, and sometimes, depending on the circumstances, they would either give birth to possibly triplets to twins, but most likely they'd have a single birth.
Yeah. Cindy Spencer goes on to say, I imagine these babies would be pretty large. Well, my honest opinion is I would definitely assume so myself, for the simple fact that again, this depends on we're talking about a fairly large species, based off of observations, sightings, encounters, stories, whatever. Now, I know in the past a lot of people hear me compare them, to non-human primates, and again, some believe are humans, but there's reasons why I compare them to non-human primates, for a few different reasons. But in this, with what her statement was, how she said, I imagine these babies would be pretty large. The way I would think on this here, or the way I'll present my opinion on this, if we were to compare them again to a non-human primate, there's different species of non-human primates. You got gorillas, you got chimpanzees, et cetera, et cetera. In the non-human primate world, some births are anywhere from 25 pounds, or they've been known to reach 50 pounds at birth. 25 pounds, I think, is more, around that weight is a pretty close to an estimated weight. Depending on the species now, some are all probably like human babies, 10 pounds, 8 to 10, 12 pounds. But we're talking about a larger species. So I think, in my opinion, I think they would be fairly large. I mean, would you guys kind of agree to that? If we're talking about a 8 to anywhere from a 7 to 8, 9 foot tall, maybe even a 10-footer. If you have clans, like a lot of people believe they're running groups and clans, which I do agree with that. I believe that myself. Now, it's like, as humans, we have Asians. I'm going to use Asians because a lot of Asians are considered small people. They're smaller compared to I don't know, wherever the most giants are. To another race, to most other races of bloodlines, Asians are usually a smaller people. Look at you got China, Vietnam, all the different Asian places. I believe that may have a similar effect on Sasquatch in general, because they may have different breeds or strains of these subjects. I'm because a lot of people believe that based off of descriptions, some say they look like this, some say they look like this. Down in Florida, they're described totally different. And then other regions and countries, they're described, some smaller, some bigger. So I think that all, is to be taken into consideration, as far as, they may vary in size. I think that's a simple way of putting it. But yeah, again, you guys feel free to share any inputs on that one.
Well, you got to remember their birth weight in a human child, newborn, varies. Like whenever I was born, I weighed in at 9 pounds even. So anywhere from 6 to 8 pounds, and usually whenever you're dealing with a more big boned child that'll be big boned in the future, they usually weigh about 8 to 10 pounds. And of course that very well, would probably have the change in birth weights would have to go and have to do with the genetics of the dominant male of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Baltimore?
Yeah, everything depends upon what they eat and how much protein that they have in their bodies. That's what makes them who they are. That's what makes them bigger. The more meat they eat, the bigger they get. And like I said earlier, everything depends upon their diet, and they have to make sure that that they're healthy. Because I believe if a diet is real poor for a Sasquatch, the Sasquatch will be a little bit smaller compared to a Bigfoot that actually has been eating so much protein. That's what makes them a little bit more bigger. So.
All right. Yeah, because Cindy goes on to also say because of the size of the mother, couldn't it be about the size of a toddler possibly, or larger? I don't know. I mean, we can't rule that out. I don't see how that would not be a possibility. So, yeah. By the way, I want to throw this out there to all those on the live chat. We love your interaction. We really appreciate your questions. It's actually adding to our, putting into a good discussion here. So if you guys keep the questions coming. We're really loving them. And for those of you who are watching, for those who may not know Mr. Baltimore Galvan Jr. here, You guys got to come out next year to meet him. He'll be here in Virginia at the 2018 E.C.B.R.O's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. So maybe if we're nice, he might, we can maybe get him to dress up in his attire. That he, I love your gear, by the way. I go through all your pictures. I stalk your photos. I was like, man, I gotta use these.
Now,
So
I'm going to be doing one tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow morning, we're going to be getting up like around 6 o'clock, and we're going to go to Heavenville. And we're going to do, and I'm actually going to make a wiki up over there. So that's going to be a Native American house that's made out of brush, and I'm going to try to get some photos of that. Like that.
oh, nice.
Yeah, so like that, y'all can see the bins and everything like that I do on it. So like that, y'all can get an idea of possibly something that something that Bigfoot makes. But I'm going to do all that, and I'm actually going to be in all of my colors tomorrow.
Awesome. That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see the photos on that. Yeah, definitely share some photos with us. So yeah, if you guys are not following Baltimore, you can find him on Facebook, Baltimore Galvon Jr. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And we have Miss Nikki Cologne that just jumped on the live chat, and she says howdy. Hey, Nikki, it's great to have you. So, and anyone else who may be just jumping on the live chat, we're going through questions coming from the live chat. So if you have any questions, concerns, or anything you're curious about, we're glad to answer them to the best of our ability. And do keep in mind, a lot of our responses are based off of opinion. And if there is any information, we do, if there's any facts known or related facts, we do try to point them out. But most of it's in comparison with our opinion. So, see, Bald. Now let me jump back to Zach real quick. While I'm watching the live chat, waiting on any of the questions. I wanted to ask you, Zach. I know you kind of had a lot going on, and a lot of people are kind of taking a break in the Bigfoot world, and I know you have things going on. But, just out of curiosity, I don't know if you want to fill us in on any of that, or if you want to explain, or anything upcoming that you might be working on. If there's anything you're willing to share with us.
Well, right now, I've been busy house sitting for this last week because my grandparents are on their way to Yellowstone, my uncle and my aunt, and then they're coming back from Texas straight from there. And one of the reasons I've taken a break from everything is because, like I said, it was family things. My grandma was going to get ready to have a leg surgery done, a neck surgery done, and it's going to take me helping my granddad a whole lot. So it's really going to take away from me being able to do my research and everything. And then mom, having all these tests done and everything with her sleep apnea and her working and everything. I have to be home to watch my brother and everything. So it got to the point where I was putting my research basically before my family, and I was spreading myself too thin in the Bigfoot world. So I made a decision to take time off for myself to get my sanity back, and actually just be there for my family.
Absolutely, and you're. I will say this: you're doing the right thing, and that goes for any of us, because there's been times where I've actually had a step back before. Sometimes we lose track. We get so involved with what we love and what we're trying to do with this, definitely, yeah, we can never neglect family needs and what our family requires of us. So yeah, and like I mentioned, I said this before. I know, I can totally agree and relate, because I, of all people, know how being fully involved with, cryptozoology, it could easily become very overwhelming. So, let's see what we got here. Okay, I thought there was another question in the live chat. We got Baylin that jumped on. Oh, go ahead.
I said my camp out went pretty good.
Sweet. And yeah, I think last time I talked to you, I know I seen a post you made because they were, you mentioned that there was a little bit of noise and stuff going on. You had some wildlife activity as far as owls. You had coyotes going on. Was there anything else that you were able to pick up out of all that?
Yeah, it was the last night I was there at camp, and a couple hours prior, it had just rained and come a downpour from that hurricane, that depression that come up out of the Gulf from Louisiana. So it hit us pretty quick, and pretty much whenever it rains here, every bit of wildlife, majority of it goes into hiding to wait out the storm. So I was in a pretty, the campground I was staying at was pretty much packed. It was more people than what I thought, but there was plenty of little kids running around. So I stuck around camp pretty much at night because of all these kids running around and all these women and everything talking. I've remembered from all my research and from seeing things where the all-female investigation up in Washington State for Skookum Meadows thing where they had some activity. So I figured why not use these as quote-unquote bait to see if I can get a response to anything. Well, it was the last night of camp, and I was laying in my tent, sound asleep, and something was up close to camp, and we were down, I'd say about maybe 200 to 300 feet up this trail up the side of the mountain where we was all camp, where the campground was at, I was staying at. And I heard this most ungodly cry come out of that hollow, and they call it Happy Hollow, and it runs on the river-to-river horse trail, where you can go from the Ohio to Mississippi on a horse trail and ride your horse. Well, I sat up in my tent because it scared me half to death, and I was listening as it was going on. And there was other campers in the campgrounds and the campsites around me that actually was talking, and I heard them, and I talked to a couple of them the next morning as we was all leaving out. I said, "Did you hear that last night?" And they said, "Yeah, what'd you hear?" And I said, "I don't know, but it sounded big, whatever it was." And they said, "Yeah, it sounded like an ape scream." And I'll describe how it sounded. It sounded just like the scream I heard whenever I was 9 years old. And it sounded like a big old wolf howl with a elk bugle on the end of it.
Ooh.
Made the hair on the back of my neck stand up in that tent. And I honestly felt like it come up close because of all the kids and everything. And why it let out that sound, I have no idea. There was no ways, any other way it could have been provoked or anything. I guess it was just doing a locator howl, is all I can say.
Mm. Now, one more time, I want you to, that vocalization, that scream, whatever you heard, repeat one more time exactly how that sounded.
It sounded like the biggest wolf howl that you could ever imagine with an elk bugle on the end of it, tapering off.
That's interesting. Now,
that is exactly the same sound I heard whenever I was 9 years old, whenever I got into all of this.
But just out of curiosity, now, I haven't, I mainly focus the wildlife in my general area in pretty much the whole state. Here in Virginia, along the surrounding areas where they've been cited and reintroduced. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if you know this information. Now you happen to mention, correct me wrong, you mentioned an elk, right?
Yeah, no, we don't have elk, but it sounded like an elk.
Okay. No, that's what I was going to get at, because I was just curious, because if there is elk in the state, I'm not calling your vocalization an elk, but because you use that in your description. Because I know with a lot of known animals that make sounds, especially coyotes. Now they make a lot of people are used to hearing them yip and make their little howls. I've heard coyote make some weird noises before, and I'm just saying, there's a, I was wondering if there could be a possibility of, if there is elk in the area, maybe their tone was not as familiar with what it would sound like, as normal, what people are used to hearing. But now with that being described, I think that's very awesome. Baltimore, just out of your opinion, have you heard any descriptions similar or anything along that way? Because that's the way he described that was actually pretty interesting.
They one of my friends, my elders that passed away over here. He described a sound out of the ordinary, and he called it a cross between a parrot and a Brahmo bull.
Hmm.
And the thing is, again, he's out pretty close to the creek bed, and he hears this sound, real weird down the creek, and he tells his buddy or his cousin. He goes, "Hey, you want to come with me down the creek? I want to find out what's making this sound." And his cousin goes, "I ain't going down there." He goes, "You know what? I'm going to go down there." So he gets his 22, and he goes down that creek, and he hears this sound, a cross between a parrot and a Brahmo bull. And if you look at some of my stuff on my page, you could actually hear him tell the story.
Hmm.
And so he comes up and he sits on the creek and he hears the sound. And then by this time he notices this coyote going down towards creek bottom, and he's on the top. And he comes up and he says that it looks like the coyote saw what was making that noise, and it went straight towards up the creek bed, towards where he was at, and basically jumped over him and took off. And that's when my elder took off, because he never stayed and actually stayed behind. He never actually saw what actually was making the sound. So
Hmm. Very
yeah, I mean,
awesome.
yeah. I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that Bigfoot has a chin?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Well,
Because the thing is that if we say yes, that Bigfoot has a chin, okay, chimpanzees and gorillas and orangutans don't have one.
well,
So
based off of my observations, because the most I've seen from my own encounters, of course, I've seen silhouettes, and the eye shine, because I've seen the shape from the head and the shoulders. Um, Now that's not saying much, but just the way the head looks like it connects. As far as a chin, I can't say yes or no. I have not had a clear enough sighting to say yes or no. Now, as far as really, do they have a neck? Based off of my observations, they didn't appear to have one. So that was I don't know, very interesting. So I don't know. That is a very good question. So.
because the reason why I'm saying is um, because it's dealing with the muscle to the tongue and the way that the structure form is, the way that we form words. And that's what makes us different from the gorillas and the chimpanzees and the orangutans, because they don't have one, and us humans do for speech. And then if we can, I mean, this is think that there's a hypothetical question, and everything like that, and look at a scientific view, which I think I'm not 100% sure. And if they do a lot of talking towards themselves, then they must have a chin, because that's the only way that we can communicate with the muscle to the tongue. So
Hmm.
just maybe the people listening to your show might have an answer to that. Or
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, anybody on the live chat, if you know anything, or if you want to share your input, please feel free. Yeah, Baltimore asked a very good question. Does Bigfoot have a chin? 'Cause, I know as far as like what I was talking about, how they don't appear to really have a neck because they're all pretty much, muscle, shoulders and neck, the back, the muscle behind where the neck is. As far as a chin, that I never thought about that. So yeah. For those on the live chat, please feel free to share your opinion, or if you had a sighting, if you had a good enough observation, we definitely would love to hear your input on that. So I'm watching the live chat right now as we speak. So feel free to answer away. I'll probably try to refresh my live chat here in just a second. It should. Yeah, that's something to think about.
And
Most definitely.
there was something else too. There was a story that I've heard, and it's a story that happened here in Texas, and I was kind of intrigued with the story, and it was dealing with the sound that the Bigfoot makes, "Woo" sound.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so apparently there was this hunter, uh, and then so he noticed something. First of all, he noticed some wild pigs, and then so he noticed something large and black and going from tree to tree, hiding behind this like the tree trunks of the trees. What he was doing, he was actually hunting these, going after these wild hogs.
Hmm.
And he comes up there, and the man was eyeballing this thing, and then all of a sudden, this this uh, Bigfoot leaps, grabs one from the leg, and starts hitting him on the chest. He was beating it so hard that you could actually hear the ribs breaking to this pig.
Dear
And
God.
he's watching all this on this stand of his. So the Bigfoot comes up there and he puts the animal underneath his arm, and he stops and he turns around where the guy is actually on his stand and just looks right at him. And then he noticed that Bigfoot went up there and actually put his chin pretty close to his chest and just straight up in the air, making that vocalization sound, the woo sound.
Hmm.
And that was totally fascinating. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I've been hearing stories like that, and they don't want to reveal their names or the location of it, which I respect that. But I'm sharing it with y'all like that as something that I witnessed has told me about dealing with the vocalizations of that.
Absolutely. We do have one response related to the referring to the question as far as does Bigfoot have chins? And Connie's on the live chat, and she said yes, he does. And as of now, that was the only response related to that question. But yeah, you were talking about with that story. You were talking about how with pigs. That's not the first one I've heard. Actually, the one did any of you guys get to see the that news channel link I shared? It had a video on it. There was a gentleman speaking, and he was saying what he saw. I think he was talking about what he saw, what somebody saw, how there was how they're seen in the orchards, and there was one where it was with like up to five others, and it had a pig thrown over his shoulder, uh, and something about it described it when it tripped over a culvert, and then the pig went flying out in front of him. But yeah, with that there, it was describing how the pig was carried over his shoulder. Um, then you hear of other reports where pigs are taken and snatched up. So yeah, that's interesting because yeah, like I said, that's not the first time I've heard that one. So very interesting. All right. Oh, Gary Hitchcock. Nice to have you on here, man. I see you made it. Yeah. Again, if anyone else has any input or anything else they want to share, or any questions or related to the question we asked, feel free. Um, Willie Booger mentions over here in California we have orange and lemon orchards. So That's very cool. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is apple orchards out there as well. Um, Earlier, Wooly Burger mentioned he made a statement. He said, "Had one make a sound at me that sounded like a bird or small animal at first, but was coming down a canyon just too slow for a bird. Then he said, thunk. It was fly. Thunk. It was a flying tree to tree. Then it hit water. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to read it the way he had it worded there, but then he goes on to say, but made water right there, whatever he means by that. But interesting. So yeah, again, feel free to share your input, anything you want to share with us, or if you have a question. Live chat is open, and I am looking at the live chat. Let's see. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to throw in on that one, Zach?
Nope. I'm lost.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I do want to mention, for those who a couple weeks ago, I posted a Bigfoot trivia. And I'm gonna try to make this next one a little bit challenging. Because I think with the responses I had last time, I don't know if everyone knew it or if it was easy to look up or what, but everyone was having the same, pretty much, which was the correct response. However, I took all those names and put them into a drawing, because this is what we do with the Bigfoot trivia that I post. For all those with a correct response, their names get put into a drawing, and the name that I draw. I'm going to do this every month. Well, the name that I draw will win 2 free tickets to next year's event for the ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. So yeah, right now the event is looking very successful right now. Tickets are selling. I know, a lot of good things going on here. Like I said, tickets are selling. More and more people becoming aware of the event, which is awesome. I know I started promoting this very early and getting it organized. Still have a few little minor things to work out, but I started early. A lot of people say, "Wow, you're starting way early." Well, this is our first event. We got to, everything needs to be planned out and organized. Eddie, we got all the speakers lined up. We got the vendors pretty much set up and ready to go. All that good stuff. So we got a lot going on. So again, be on the lookout. If you're on Facebook with me, Bigfoot Trivia will be coming very soon. I'll probably be doing this again probably within the next week or so. And I do have a trivia question in mind, which it should be pretty interesting to see the responses. So be on the lookout for Bigfoot Trivia. I want to just make sure everyone's aware of that. Let's see. I do want to do a plug-in right here while I'm thinking about it. For those you know, Sam Deloach, Bill Lancaster of E.C.B.R.O Productions, which they are working on their documentary called Cultured Bigfoot. If you have not seen that, check that out. You could go to E.C.B.R.O, which is the Mountain Empire Cryptid Research Organization. That Facebook group is actually a real research group, and that does consist of E.C.B.R.O Productions with Sam Deloach, Bill Lancaster, and a few others with that production group. And their documentary is coming along very well. So I do advise you to check that out. They have several little episodes put into that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Yeah, if you're on Facebook, there's pages you want to look up. If you want to give us a like, you got the as far as the ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference, we do have a page on Facebook dedicated to that event itself. Tickets and all the information with speakers could be found on that page. Make sure you give our page a like, share it. And don't forget to buy your tickets, because as of right now, we only have a couple months left. You can buy your early bird special tickets right now as of January of 2018, they do double in price. So I recommend everybody taking advantage of buying them half price right now. Again, come January, they will double in cost. So let's see what else we got. Oh, and that event is taking place June 30th and July 1st of 2018, which is also followed by a whole week-long camping expedition. The camping event itself is completely free, so hopefully you guys can come on out and join us during all that. We got some great speakers lined up for that event, and one of them we have right here that I mentioned earlier, Mr. Baldemar Galvan Jr. And also we have, see, I'm not going to memorize them all because I don't have the list in front of me, but we have Ken Gerhard, for those who know American cryptozoologist and author Ken Gerhard. He will be with us. Ron Moorhead, the author of Quantum Bigfoot, he will be with us in this discussion of the Sierra Sounds. Let's see, Ed Brown, and if you're not subscribed to his YouTube channel, sit down with Ed Brown. And also Big Truth Productions with Dan Lindham. You got to check them out. Make sure you subscribe. And let's see. And within this past week, I picked up probably close to, let's see, approximately about 29 subscribers just this week. And 2 of them happened while we were live tonight. So that's awesome. I saw the notifications pop up. And then if you're not joined in with us on the on Facebook, we have the E.C.B.R.O. Facebook group itself. We have the E.C.B.R.O. like page. There's a new page that's out and about, and it's sharing Bigfoot information, news, and information regarding events, activity going on with Bigfoot researchers, anything that's trending. It's called the Bigfoot Press. If you have not done so, go look that up. Give us a like. It's something new, and it's hopefully it's going to be informative and be pretty productive in the Bigfoot community. So, trying to think here. If I missed anything to anybody, I'm sorry. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. If you're not familiar with her, you can get familiar with her. You could go to her website, which is www.secrettoeverything.com. Check out her page, and she has a YouTube channel. You can find it. It's actually under her name. She had me on as a guest as well a little while back. You could check that out. If you go to my playlist on YouTube, on my YouTube channel right here, go to my playlist. If you go to Bigfoot Radio or radio interviews or whatever, I forget how I have it titled, you can see all the different radio shows I've been in, all the ones I've aired on. She was one of them. My most recent one was Bigfoot Eyewitness Radio with Vic Kunduff. And I was on actually 2 weeks in a row, and I thank him for having me on. Vic is a very great guy, and he's got a great thing going on. He's got many great witnesses that he's had on his show. If you want to hear some great encounters and awesome stories, go to Bigfoot and give him a shout out. Make sure you subscribe. You can find Vic on Facebook. Send him a friend request and be a follower of him. Because I definitely want to give a special thank you to him, Vic, for having me on 2 weeks in a row. It's awesome. It's actually brought a lot more awareness, not just to me, but to the whole E.C.B.R.O. in general, and people starting to get more acquainted and more familiar with us and what we got going on. We've been well established for a good while now, and we've come a long ways. Things are looking great. There's so much more that's coming up, and if you go to the ticket website on our page for our event, if you go to the Eventbrite website, which there is some minor things I need to update, there actually is a complete list of speakers on the Eventbrite ticket website for the ECBRO's Virginia Bigfoot Conference next year, so definitely check that out. And then with that being said, I got some information here. I'm going to read a statement here by YouTube user Bigfoot Hunting. He goes on to say, on our last outing, we captured some really strange vocalizations near one of my old Motorola phone. I guess he meant on. Yeah, I think he meant on one of his Motorola phones. Then again, captured by the GoPro. Hard to describe, and we have not heard this before. That's interesting. So, Nikki's asking who runs the Bigfoot Press. Well, that would be yours truly. That's me. I just created that just a few days ago. So I hope you like it. So be sure to give it a like and share it around. So, between Baltimore or Zach, do you guys have anything you want to give a shout out or anything you want to throw out there?
Baltimore, you go first, bro.
Me go first. You hear me all right?
Oh yeah.
This year I'm going to try to go a little bit more deeper into the woods and contacting a lot more landowners because down here the landowners are real kind of private with their lands, and but some members of their family would always say, you have to come down here and check this stuff out, but you had to ask my dad first if it's all right. But there's some areas down here which I'm really trying to explore more because there's a whole bunch of caves down here. And I know of two. And one of them, they always have Bigfoot sightings every year. And I'm hoping to go explore that a little bit more this year. So that's basically my goal for this year, to be a little bit more active with my research.
Awesome. That's good stuff. All right. Baltimore, excuse me, Zach, you have anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, still go ahead and like the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters Team homepage on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm still doing research, pretty much part-time, not full-time anymore. I do have an announcement, though, that I got a call from a wants to interview me and my mother together because my mother throughout her life has had encounters with paranormal and Bigfoot and other things that she believes to be cryptid. And so he's going to hopefully, if I can get the details worked out, we're going to be doing a dual interview.
Nice. Well, Zach, I wanted to recommend something for you. And it's totally up to you. I don't know if you're friends with Vic Kunduf on Facebook, but if you are or not, I would recommend reaching out to him and put the bug in your ear, put the bug in his ear, and say, hey, I was wondering, I got, I tell him you got a Bigfoot story and you're willing to share it, and I think he'll definitely take you and set something up with you. And I tell you what, Vic's a great guy. I think for what he did with me, he really, will share my information of what I had and what I know. It's something great to look into. It'll definitely help bring awareness, and I think you'll appreciate it in the long run. Because just him alone, I've already seen a lot of changes, and there's been a lot of good coming out of that. So, so like I said, that's totally up to you if you want, reach out to him and, let him know you had a Bigfoot story, if you're willing to share that, So and that goes for anybody that's listening. If you've had a story, if you had a sighting, and, you want to have it heard, I'm willing to take you on if you want to do it here on ECBRO 98. But also I recommend, if you don't want to do it with me, let me give a shout out to again Vic Kunduf, Bigfoot Eyewitness Radio. Again, Give Vic Kunduf a shout out. Contact him. If you want to share your story, he will get you arranged. He'll set you up. See. Now we're about to come to an end here, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been great on the interaction on the live chat tonight. Does anyone else have any closing statements or anything else they want to share and throw out there before the show ends tonight? That's either for the live chat, Baltimore, or Zach.
Yeah, but it's like I said earlier. It's there's what I do is I try to get stories from all other eyewitnesses or anything. I even go as far as advertising in the paper. I go put it on my community shorts. If anybody has a Bigfoot story, just come up there and just talk about it, or just let us know. And there's some times when people recognize you in the stores, they'll come up there and they'll tell you some stories that happened 10 years ago, 12 years ago, or just recently happened. And that is what I do to get stories. That's what I do to get stories. And you'll be surprised how many people come out from the woodworks telling their stories.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I do. It's for me. It's like just hearing people go, Mr. Galvan. He goes. I'm glad that you actually are out coming and talking about this, because this happened to me when I was small, and it's been bothering me for so many years. We can be their release to actually say this is actually what we actually saw, and it's real. So that's our main purpose, and that's our goal, is to make sure that we make sure that everybody knows that Bigfoot is real. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's our goal. So there's some of them. There's some stories that are truly out there, outfetched. That they kind of BSing about it. But
right, I believe that.
Yeah, but there's some, you see them and their story never changes.
Right.
And so that's what makes it more believable. And makes it the strange things that they would do, or I still get the same thing, is that Mr. Galvani goes, I was out there cutting my grass in my yard, and I had the feeling that something was just staring at me. And in Spanish, we call it ligando. That's what a cat does to a bird before it attacks it. So it's a certain little feeling that actually gets that you have this feeling that you get that somebody's actually staring at you. And
right.
it's around there, but but the thing is, and I've been trying to tell people, hey, just go out there, go into community, go out there and see how many Bigfoot stories you can get. So,
right. Well, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's, like you said, there's people out there that's had a sighting, that's experienced something. They don't know about a lot of these local Bigfoot groups that are, regardless of where they live or where they from, whatever. It's amazing that I've had people come out of the woodwork themselves just from giving presentations about who we are and what we do, and presenting some of our findings without going overboard. Little things like the newspaper. The newspaper articles, the newspapers that, I had one of the local newspapers do a story on us. And I'm very satisfied with the way the outcome of it came, as far as the way they presented it. There is some minor details. They kind of got a few things mixed up. But that's minor stuff. But this was like about 2-3 years ago they did this, and it was about 3 years ago. And that article, you can still find that article online, and I've actually had people see that article, locals, that say, some of them are hunters, some of them are just wherever they might happen to be in the right place at the right time. I've had people come out the woodwork and reach out to me, because I've had them say, the group that does this here, in our area. I say, yeah, we're here. We've been here. Um, so yeah, when you present yourself and put yourself out there publicly, and I use like anywhere from radio shows, these podcast shows like we're doing tonight, um, whatever it is, anything that puts you out there publicly, present yourself who you are, letting people know, hey, I'm a Bigfoot researcher. The one thing I also make sure people got to understand, I'm also a wildlife researcher. I study and observe a lot of our known wildlife. Because that's very important. People need to understand and know, hey, we're not just going out there looking for something that's unknown. They need to be aware of that. Hey, we do and search for what is known before you try to go look for something that's unknown. So, but as far as putting yourself out there publicly, investigating, having interviews, talking to people, it's funny, the little things, some of the simplest conversations is you might bring something out. I've been in conversations with people that don't know who I am, and it's interesting the information that you gather from these people, that what they might be willing to share with you once you open up to them and reveal yourself, after having a long enough discussion with these people, because they get comfortable with you. They get that feeling that, hey, I could trust this person. They're not going to make fun of me, so yeah, that's what's happening with me, and I see it, and I got friends that might learn of information that share stuff with me, and then I'll go to the other source where they got their information from, and I'll investigate or interview the original source and see what I can come up with there. So yeah, it's been as far as investigating and looking into these different reports, it's been very great. It's been very rewarding, as far as learning about the information where things are seen and experience that, from all walks of life, which is awesome. So, but yeah, again, I totally agree. And that's one thing I tell people is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If this is what you do, if you have a passion for it, you're dedicated to this, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Get ridiculed. I get made fun of. You know what? I've gotten over it. It doesn't bother me because there's information that I know that they don't know. They're not willing. Some people are not willing to learn or become aware or consider the possibility because that's where they have a closed mind. That's their ignorance. That's when they become ignorant, if they're not willing to consider by looking into it. You can't force people to go look for Bigfoot, but I'm saying there's information out there that they could actually research. If they're not going to go out in the woods looking long enough, there's information they can look up to analyze what is presented over the years from all the many different researchers that's here now, that's been here, at one time. And, there's a lot of good stuff out there. People just need to take the time to consider what's out there, and what people are finding. And and another thing I will tell people too, you can't call everybody a liar, because there's thousands of people that's come forward over the last hundreds of years. There's documentations dating way back. For those who might know about the Vikings that stepped foot here in North America, they've had, large, hairy, stinky beast, man-like hairy beast. Of course, some people will take that interpretation from that story, and say they were people, or the Vikings were, had encounters with the natives here, but not with the way they described what they had. They weren't nothing like, the natives. The natives were just like people. They were people, So, but that's an interesting story, Baltimore. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I can't think of his name. I'll send you the information. I'll let you look into that himself. Yeah, I can't remember the Viking's name right offhand, but it's actually a very interesting story. If you actually look up the oldest related Bigfoot sighting, the oldest documented Bigfoot sighting, you'll actually come. It's about a Viking who actually stepped foot here long before Columbus. So some of you guys might. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Zach. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name because I actually did a blog on that not long ago. Um, so
See,
yeah,
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 yeah. See the uh, when Native Americans like the teepees. You know how the teepees designed for the smoke to go way up down the top. Sometimes they have little holes on the side, like that when they
yeah.
build a fire inside their lodges or their homes or whatever. Uh, so if it's raining outside or it's too cold outside, and they mainly cook in their houses and everything, and they always have flaps on the top of these structures. I can't even tell you how many times that stories, way back in the day when people had actually said that they think that when they were sleeping inside that they could actually see two eyes looking at back at them, and that
Mm.
the grandmothers or their mother would say, "Hey, don't worry, that's a great spirit just watching over you." There are even many stories where Bigfoot has been stealing food from the people as well. These stories have been going on for hundreds of years, and so we didn't keep handwritten documents or anything like that. We basically drew everything on rocks, stones, pottery. Everything that we could do about the story about the Garden of the Forest. So, um, but yeah, Native Americans had a lot of stories like that, and
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I heard the grass man, for example. We have all different names for the animal, for a whole bunch of different names for Bigfoot. So,
Right.
mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, I know there's several different. Yeah, just here in North America itself, I think there's, they call it the wood booger, or just booger. Um, I've heard of rock giant. Um, let's see, Paul Hayes. If I believe, yeah, out of Ohio. Paul Hayes out of Ohio. I don't know. I could say it, I'll probably pronounce it wrong. Uh, Genosqua, um, was a name because they have the Genosqua project, and I believe that originated out of the term for rock giant. That's something because I've had Paul Hayes on here in the past as a guest, and he shared a lot of the information with that. Um, yeah, like I said, yeah, Skookum, all these different names based off region, tribe. A lot of them originated out of tribal names based on
Yeah.
them. And just different dialects too. I know, like I mentioned this before. Uh, Micmac Indians. Yeah, the Micmac Indians that originated out of Canada and parts of Maine. They have the weird dialects for the name related to the Bigfoot legend in their history. The Guru, the Gugu, the Gauju, different names. So it's
Now,
very interesting.
now,
So,
if you also notice, now there are some tribes that are welcoming outsiders to go inside the reservations and actually look for Bigfoot,
oh,
and that's very rare. For somebody to have an opportunity like that.
right,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I actually saw a couple of documentaries that way. I think though the White Mountain Apaches did that not too long ago, that actually let some people go and investigate because they have so many sightings of Bigfoot, and they would be telling their stories where they were actually being seen real close to their homes and everything, and yeah, so this happened not too long ago when they actually started welcoming people in.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. All right. That's good information to know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's that time of the night, man. I'll tell you what, Baltimore, Zach, thank you guys for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I think we had a really great discussion tonight. I think it went pretty well. And again, thank you for all those who are viewing tonight. Your interaction was awesome. Um, so one more time, be on the lookout for Bigfoot trivia. Perhaps probably around next week, we may arrange something for that. Remember, for all those who get the trivia question correct, you will win 2 free tickets for next year's event. Now, the trivia questions, I'm only going to do that do them pretty much one per month up till January, giving people the opportunity to get, save them a little extra money. That's why another reason why tickets are only half price right now, because tickets are going to start selling a lot more after the first of the year. So when it comes to these kind of events, people like to jump on it, because a lot of people don't like to plan that far ahead, but a lot more people are going to be wanting to get involved, especially with our lineup of speakers and the presentations that we got going on. We got some good stuff. Our speakers got some great stuff lined up. So, ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss out. So, if you're on Facebook, one more time, go to the E.C.B.R.O. First Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference page. Give our page a like. Share it with your friends and family. And there is camping on site available. If you're a tent camper, you want to come out. If you're traveling out of state, you want a tent camp. Tent camping is free. So, but our 2-day event, we got a whole week long of camping immediately following that event. So, and that camping is free. We're going to be in a very active area, well-wooded area. A lot of all the known wildlife you could think of lives in that area. A lot of black bears. You got your cats. A lot of deer. You got, coyotes. You'll hear the barred owls. I mean, it's awesome. You're gonna love it. It's a nice wooded area, very remote area. You got the creek, streams. You got the lake, the river. All that flows through the forest out there. So you guys are gonna love it. I hope you guys come out and join us next year with that. And with that being said, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel for any other follow-up episodes of live podcast shows, right here, I also upload field videos right here. So be on the lookout for future field videos. See, October 21st and October 22nd, there'll be a few of us going on a field investigation. A hunter reported some activity. This hunter goes into this area on a regular basis on the hunting seasons. He's actually had something yell at him that frightened him, that was very close to him. He could not identify the sound. So this is good information because this connected forest where he was at, I've picked up other stories. I've investigated sightings not far from here. That state forest has, this is not national forest, it's state forest that's where there's no hunting permitted. But the forest is connected to a private property where this hunter hunts. So we're going to go investigate this activity and see what we might be able to come across. It's pretty exciting. We got, Dave Thundercloud coming down from Maryland. I got fellow team member Scott Zinn, E.C.B.R.O, another fellow E.C.B.R.O member, Greg Corbin, and myself as of right now. And then got another individual who may be tagging along, which I'm pretty sure he will because it's his grandfather's property. He's anxious to check it out. A real good friend of mine, Dakota, will be with us. So Dakota Knight, by the way, is his name. So he's a good friend of mine. Also, he's a co-worker. So he's the one who actually shared this information with me. So, yeah, October 21st or 22nd, we got that investigation. So we will be camping out there. Hopefully we get yelled or screamed at ourselves. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping maybe something comes in close enough so we can catch some evidence on film. So our fingers are crossed. We hope for the best. We're always investigating something regardless of where we're at. So, again, be on the lookout for videos, uploads, research information, and other Bigfoot discussions such as this. So thank you guys very much. God bless, and we'll be back later.